Pleasure. Thank you
Uh,
very much for having me.
I just missed that bit. Hello, Moira. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Moira, we met first of all a few years back, and I introduced you to these things called Vox Life socks and insoles. And I remember distinctly we had a meeting in a lovely Mexican restaurant in Watford, a couple of years ago, probably about 2023, I think it was. And we did a balance assessment with you, and we showed that we can change your balance by standing on these crazy insoles. I could probably affect some. In fact, I've got some just there. Get you to stand on these crazy insoles with the pattern underneath, and we changed your balance within a few seconds, and you just went, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Anyway, fast forward a couple of years. A few months ago, you came to me and you said, "Can we have a chat about your now patches that I was doing?" So we met at a few business networking meetings, and I was talking about these different patches that help with different things. And you came to me and said, "Can you help with something?" So what was it you were experiencing that made you reach out? Obviously, no technical terms required here, but what kind of symptoms were you feeling at the time?
There was an accumulation of things that were going on. I'm a lady of menopause age. That was one. And with that, I was noticing that I was getting problems with my knees, my joints, those kinds of areas. Um, and also, I was very conscious about my basic health as well. So, the everyday things like colds, flus, and things like that. Unfortunately, I do have a very low immune system. So I do have to be very, very careful. And obviously, when I came to you and I explained everything to you, I think what was so lovely, first of all, is that I was actually being listened to, number one, which is really, really lovely, and not kind of being shoved any medicines to say, off you go, dear, this will sort it out. It was actually nice to be heard because I think for a lot of women going through menopause, sometimes we don't feel that we are necessarily being heard properly. And so it was actually a really nice change. And I mean, I'm not obviously saying that you are an expert in menopause, but it was just lovely that you actually listened. So that was really appreciated.
I'm not an expert in unmuting myself. So I think the beauty of that conversation we had was that I'm not an expert in menopause, and I don't have an array of drugs and medications to say you fit this box, so therefore I'm going to whatever. So I don't prescribe medications to anybody. I don't help anybody to fit their symptoms to a disease or an illness or anything else like that. I just listen to what you're experiencing, and then I can advise on basically the stories that I've heard and the scientific studies that I've seen with these patches that help to fit best to your kind of things that are going on. So that's a great start point. So what was it that not convinced you to convince yourself, but what was it that eventually encouraged you to try the patches for yourself? Because we had a two-way call as well with a fellow lady of a similar age.
Yes, I think what triggered me to reach out first of all was that I knew within myself that things weren't right. And I had been going down the NHS route just to make sure everything was in order. And then I think also listening to some of your talks at networking meetings as well, it kind of sparked, I think this is something that I need to look at, revisit and see how this can help me. So that's kind of what sent me back in the direction.
Okay, brilliant. And what when when you started taking the patches, what did you then experience
Um,
taking the patches? As if you eat them, applying the patches onto various different skin parts.
yeah, absolutely. So I think, I mean, first of all, obviously, when you do put the patches on, it's a little bit of an unknown. It's like, well, what am I expected to experience? And I initially was like, is it actually doing anything? Because I wasn't sure, if I'm being honest. But then actually I noticed, for example, with one of the patches, the victory patch, is that I noticed that my knee joints, for example, so whereas I was struggling to do certain exercise before, it then became apparent I didn't need to be taking paracetamol all of the time or rubbing gels into it or whatever the case may be. It was I would have this on and I could carry out an activity with no problem. Whereas before there would be this niggling away as you were doing exercise, which kind of made you want to not do the exercise. Whereas with the victory patch, you it's like you feel like you're protected. It's almost like you get into this like bubble of being protected, which is actually really lovely. And I know, having spoken with different kind of specialists when it's been to do with my back and things like that, they've always said you mustn't stop doing the exercise. You should always carry on. What's happening is, and I'm sure you'll understand this as well, is that your brain is triggering you to stop. It's like raising an awareness. Stop. You're in pain. You've got to stop. Now, obviously, in certain circumstances, that may be the right thing to actually be doing. Whereas I knew within myself it was more, I was scared and I knew that's what it was. Um, but well, and I still continue to use the victory. I'm able to do move. There's still certain movements that I wouldn't dream of doing because I know it's not good for me. But I would say overall, it's become so much easier, which is an absolute dream for me. So I've not had to stop anything.
Yeah, brilliant. I know that the victory patch in particular works at the muscle recruitment part of the brain, and it also helps with the bit right in the middle of the brain, right in the very center of the limbic system that we've got is the amygdala, and the amygdala, two of them either side of the limbic system. You know this, you work with a brain company, so the amygdala wants to keep us safe. That's their function, is to keep us safe. So if it's something that's hurting us or stressing us or scaring us, it will try to remove ourselves from that. So it'll stop you doing things. So to help reduce that impact on the amygdala in particular is a great way of just saying to your brain, hey, we can do this. And when you get the muscle recruitment thing going on as well, and the reflexes and the a bit of activation of different parts of the brain as well, it helps us to just to get on with things and just
Mm.
not ignore any pain, but reduce the pain at the same time as helping us do those things. And you're absolutely right. If something that you shouldn't do because it's not good for you, you don't do, that's a good thing
Absolutely.
in terms of
Um,
stretches.
yeah, 100%. So it's actually because what I was getting to that point where I was like, well, should I be doing this anymore? And as we all know, exercise as part of our kind of daily routine is really, really important, and especially even more so as we're all maturing. Use it as a nice word. We're all maturing. And it is so, so important that we are getting the regular exercise. And I'm even now doing Sarok dancing on top of my other so kind of like weight work, mat work. and I'm living life to the full with it. It's like, yes, I can do this really comfortably, and so happy that it's almost given me a new lease of life that I can actually go and do some more that I didn't think I could do before.
Perfect. And talking about dancing as well, because one of the things I've found is about balance. So how do you find your balance, especially when you're standing on one leg and doing pirouettes or whatever you want to do?
Do you know, my goodness. My goodness. My goodness. Do you know, interestingly enough, when I first started, I wasn't on the patches. But short while after I had started, I began on the patches, and things changed for me in terms of my balance, in terms of when I'm doing my spins and things like that, much more controlled. And now where I am with it, because I've been doing it now nearly, well, probably about 9, 10 months now. Um, it is so controlled, so controlled. My goodness, I didn't even think of that.
So, and some of the things about these patches is the beauty is that people don't realize how much they've improved. And it's
Yes,
only sometimes, I'm like this as well. Sometimes when I take my patches off, I then realize what I'm not getting
yes.
when I'm not wearing my patches. And it's only when I put them back on again, I go, right, now I've got full functionality or whatever else. So thanks very much for sharing that. I know you got ill during the course of taking your or applying your patches, taking the patches. You got a bit ill, and I think you fed back to me something about your ability to deal with the illness when it happened.
Yes, so I was actually in Italy at the time where it all started. Got a nasty cold, but I think initially what happened, because obviously it was warm out there, so it kind of didn't come out into full force. So I was still able to enjoy my holiday, but when I came back, cold weather here, it really came back with a vengeance. It really, really did. And so I was using the Defend patch every day. And what noticed, that going back to the way my body works, is that I have to be extremely careful that it actually doesn't go to my chest, because unfortunately I have had pneumonia twice, so it's not where you want to go again. Um, and what I did notice was that the Defend patch, it was almost like it could, I personally feel that if I hadn't have had the patch on, I would have been a lot worse. And for me, it could have easily ended up with pneumonia again, very easily. But the patch seemed to, obviously it didn't stop me from getting the cold, but I feel like it was a lower level,
Yeah.
which was very welcomed actually. That I didn't have to go through anything
Yeah,
very nasty. So yeah,
I would say so. I'd say so. Yes, definitely.
yeah.
And which patches do you currently use?
So at the moment, I use Victory and Defend pretty much every day. Um, I also, from time to time, use Boost. Now, the Boost really does energize you. You know, sometimes when you just think, oh, I've literally got zero energy going on today. Not and how on earth am I going to get through today? Especially you've got quite a busy day going on as well. These are incredible. I was so impressed. Every time I have used one of these, I just feel I can take on the world. It's like, right, I'm ready. I'm ready to take on the day really positively. And it's not like you're feeling like you're getting a huge adrenaline hit or anything like that. It's just there. And you're just working through your day, which is beautiful. Really, really great. So yeah, yeah, it's good.
Just like a slight turn up on the dial, isn't it,
Yes,
of energy?
yes, yeah. One hundred
And
percent.
and more importantly, because I know a lot of people that take sports drinks, energy drinks, supplements, whatever else, they get a high hit of energy, and then they ultimately suffer from a crash afterwards when the effectiveness runs out. So you're not getting that high impact and then crash, which means you've got to either drink more or go to sleep or whatever.
No,
So it's that
that's
slow release, yeah.
yeah, that's the beauty of that is that you don't have anything like that. And um I don't think I would necessarily, me personally, I don't think I would necessarily use it every single day. It's my go-to if maybe I've had a poor night's sleep or something like that, and the energy levels aren't great, and I think, okay, I know I've got to deal with all of this today, so let's give myself a little boost so that I can manage it, and more importantly, not feel exhausted at the end of the day, because you don't.
Yeah. Because when you want to go to sleep and you've had an energy boost or caffeine, I know you probably don't drink caffeine last thing at night, but if people do that sort of thing before they go to the gym and they're full of caffeine and they can't get sleep and their eyes are wide open staring at the ceiling with a boost patch, you take it off
Yes, yes,
and your
yeah,
system nicely just casually goes into a restful state as well.
yeah.
So what would you say to people that were thinking about trying these patches for a range of different things? Which ones would you highly recommend? And by the way, just make it clear for anybody watching this recording that Moira is not a salesperson for these products. She works with a brain training company called Brain Abilities, and she helps people with specific problems with their brains and that kind of thing. So she's not an employee of Super Patches, merely a customer. So what would you recommend to other people?
Do you know what? I think that is such a hard one because I think a little bit like our company, I think like we design bespoke training for an individual. And I think that's the beauty of these products. It has to be bespoke for you. Um, and I would highly recommend that a call with yourself is an excellent starting point. Um, so that you can obviously get a good overview of that individual's needs, because my needs and somebody else's needs are going to be completely different. Um, I suppose it's good for everybody to have defend. It's always good to have defend on hand without question. Um, and I suppose the one product or product, if I can call it, the one patch, sorry, that absolutely has blown me away is this one, which is peace. And I don't even think I can find the right words for this because it was literally the most beautiful day. I was literally, as it says on the tin, I was literally so at peace that day. Nothing upset me, nothing annoyed me. Everything was just at this really lovely, calm place. And I just thought, this is actually really beautiful because sometimes we can't always reach that place where we can be nice and peaceful. We don't have the time to do wonderful meditations and things like that, which obviously does bring us peace and calm. Um, People have busy lives. Um, but this piece, I just remember the whole day just thinking, it's almost for me, I felt like I was Zen. Literally the whole day, everything was super calm. Um, and at first you kind of think, is this actually happening? Because you kind of like question yourself, is this actually happening? But
Am I still being calm and relaxed?
I know, and it was absolutely beautiful. But then equally, I have also tried joy as well. And joy, again, what it says on the tin, we can't always be performing at 100% with the big smiles and the happiness and etc because there's life. And we all have different things going on in our lives, and sometimes we need something to help us. And for me, if my mood feels a little bit lower, and I tend to find that a bit more so in the winter months as well. I think quite a lot of people tend to go through that through winter months. Um, and for me, it's like I like to have the lights on in the winter because I can't be in that kind of dark environment because it makes me feel low and heavy then as well. But with the joy, you put that on and everything feels spring again. It feels like spring again. And you think, no, today is a good day. Today is definitely a good day, which is really, really lovely. So I think joy, again, not one that I use every single day, but I think if, sometimes we have a little bit of a dip, and that's the perfect one for that. So I don't think I can honestly say I would say yes, definitely do this. I think go try, find out what works best for you, embrace them, use them, and then come back and say how it worked for you, because I have no doubt you will come back and you will have a different story to what I have, but it will have worked.
Thank you for saying that because that is the most obvious thing to say, that every single person is different. But a lot of treatments that people get, they get treated the same. And everybody's neurology is different, everybody's body's different, everybody's opinion about themselves is different, their motivations, their sadness, their happiness, whatever is all different. And we've got to find that way of treating all those things uniquely and saying to people, here are the options available to you. And I know you've seen, because I've brought to the last couple of networking meetings I've been to, I've got a drug-free medicine cabinet that I have a load of different patches inside of there, and I just decide at the start of the day, what do I want to experience today, or for the next couple of days, or thinking about weight loss or skin condition. I can then go, I'll do this for 2 or 3 weeks, and then go to something different afterwards. So it's really nice. I think that you've got a selection of patches, and you can just choose which ones you want to, depending on your requirements. And they're all drug free, they're chemical free, no side effects, scientifically proven, and dead easy to wear.
Yes, yeah, and I think um, because I mean I can be quite open about it. So I've had epilepsy since the age of 5, and um, thank the Lord I haven't had anything now for nearly 24 years. So for me, when I am trying anything, whether it's vitamins, whether it doesn't matter what it is, I am terrified of using anything because it
Yeah.
always does really, really scare me. Um, I did feel very, very assured by your talk when I was talking with you, which was really lovely. Um, and even when I did start to use, there was a little part of my brain, and I know it was there, that was a little bit scared. But for me, I have been absolutely fine. I have not had I haven't have felt like it was going to trigger anything off or anything. But again, bear in mind this is me. And obviously, if you need to speak to your appropriate doctor, consultant, etc., then please make sure you do that as well. But for me, 100%, I am so, so happy that I've gone down this path.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thanks also for mentioning the doctors because a lot of doctors, especially in the UK, haven't yet been taught about these patches because they're not taught as part of the medical school. They're not part of the NICHE executive yet, but they will be coming in the near future. They are approved by the FDA in America, and we are seeking some approvals in 37 different countries around the world that they are now launched in. And you'd be surprised, some of the most, you would assume, easiest countries to get into have been the hardest in terms of regulatory requirements. So Turkey, for example, has been a nightmare to get into as with these patches because they've got all sorts of regulations, and you wouldn't, of all the European countries, you wouldn't necessarily put them as being one of the hardest to get into. Germany is very hard as well. So all the regulatory steps have been gone through, and it's just a case of saying to your doctor or your physician, I've got these other things that are working for me. Perhaps you might want to look into it. And one of my own examples is I've had this breathing problem for a number of years, which started when I was living on an airfield in Cyprus, living next to the runway. And I got a bad wheezy chest problem, and that formed allergic reactions to cats, dogs, everything else. I'm now wearing this defend patch, like you would say that beforehand. And I went to my nurse who prescribes various things to me. And she said, "How are you getting on?" I said, "I'm fine. I'm, very, very rarely using my inhaler or whatever else." And she said, "Well, keep doing whatever you're doing." So do you want to find out what I'm doing so you can help other people with it? No, you're okay. So the
It's
doctors and nurses
interesting.
don't necessarily know about the drug-free availability of different things available to them,
Mm,
nor can they prescribe it, which is quite correct, but they can at least be able to say to people, why don't you think about this drug-free option that might help you as well? So,
mm.
Moira, thank you very much for your time today. And thanks for being open to trying the patches in the first place. And I'm so, so pleased to hear about your great results, especially with the calmness and the joy patches. I often don't often use them, but I use them fairly infrequently as well. And I
Yeah,
experience the similar results, especially with a joy patch, which, as you
yeah.
say, when you're a little bit down, things aren't going right, you just slap on a patch and just see what your brain can do with that new rewiring system that is in place. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Can I just ask one question? Can I ask what you tend to use on a regular, the patches you tend to use regularly?
Yeah, so I always wear the Defend patch, and I know when I haven't put the Defend patch on when I'm not wearing it because I start to sniffle and snuffle, glands start to come up and things like this. So I wear Defend patch all the time to help me with various different things. I'm currently on my legs, just a mental check from this morning. Currently wearing Lumi patch for skin condition, and also an Ignite patch, which is for increased calorific burn. So it increases the calorific burn, which therefore results in overall weight loss, which is really important after Christmas. But the combination actually of Defend and the Lumi patch, can't remember which legs on which one, not that you need to know, but literally stick it on any part of the skin that'll hold a patch. And the combination of Defend and the skin patch, the Lumi patch, helps me with a long-term autoimmune thing that I've had going on, which is basically in hidden areas. I used to get rashes and tingliness and just general discomfort. And I was
Mm.
told by the medical people I would always have to use these topical creams and things. Well, the last 2 or 3 years, I haven't had to use those topical creams, and it just kept it under control. So, and yeah, victory patch. I'm sure I mentioned it before. I play football on Monday nights, and a victory patch will definitely be getting slapped on before I go and play football because it helps with all sorts of things. Which other ones do you use? The REM patch occasionally for sleeping. The the joy patch, as I mentioned. yeah, so I dip into them
Yes.
as a when I need to.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's the key thing, isn't it? As we were saying earlier, it's specific for you. And when you kind of experiment, shall we say, with the different patches to find what actually really works for you. I mean, definitely you'll be recommended maybe a couple to start with. But then I would say once you feel comfortable, then definitely try try some of the others out as well.
yeah, yeah. Brilliant. Moira, thank you very much for your time again, and thank you very much for agreeing to come onto this recorded call. I'm obviously not paying you for your time or for your opinions. It's hopefully a genuine reaction from you as well. So, so thank you very much for being so honest and open. And thank you very much. Goodbye.